Charlotte Soccer Show. Welcome back. John Hayes here. You're going to hear from Danny Brams shortly. You always do here on the podcast. And I'm excited to bring you yet another Charlotte Soccer Show interview. This time, it's one of our own. It's one of our own. Jaylin Lindsey. He's one of our own. He's going to be here. We're going to talk to him about his stellar performance. In his own words, he calls it the best match of the season for Charlotte FC, and he played a massive role in that win over the reigning MLS champions. We talk about the two games coming up in the next week, Saturday against DC, the opportunity there, and this team's quest for a playoff spot. We also get to know Jaylin a little bit off the pitch, talk about his upbringing here in Charlotte, his experience with the Charlotte Soccer Academy, his move out to Kansas City where he became a professional, then ultimately his return here to the Queen City where he's blossomed as a fan favorite and where he became the first ever Charlotte FC player to have a special tifo designed in his likeness. Really cool moment. We'll get his thoughts on that as well. For now, stick around and enjoy the interview. All right, Danny, we've got one of our own here. We're at the facility once again here with the one, the only, Jaylin Lindsey. He's one of our own. He's born here in Charlotte, and it's a pleasure to have a Charlottean on the show. Welcome to the Charlotte Soccer Show.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We've got a ton to discuss today. I want to specifically talk about one game this season where you were unbelievable. It's the LAFC match. I want to get into that a little bit, talk about that match, talk about your family, the support here in town, growing up, how they supported you, your journey out to Kansas City to only end up back here in Charlotte. Of course, two huge matches in the next week. So we want to get into all of that. But we want to get to know you off the field too. And I know Danny has a really
So obviously we keep it casual, we keep it conversational. I want to get to know you. I want to start by ranking it. We can't play FMK, unfortunately, but we can play rank 'em. Right. So we're gonna rank them: score a goal on the pitch, prevent a goal with a great tackle, or achieve a goal in your personal and professional life. What's number 1, 2, 3 there with that ranking?
Oof. So you said the third one was what again?
Achieve a goal in your professional life, like something that you wanted to get done and you did it.
I'm glad you asked that follow-up, because he asked me that question and I had that same follow-up.
I was like, chief. I'm like, chief.
Chief.
Ooh. I would probably have to say one would be achieve a goal in life.
Yes, love that answer.
And then 2 would be prevent 3 a goal.
I love it.
So...
And
if I would have guessed your answers, I would have guessed those.
Yeah, those three. Okay,
it was all set up.
You knew prevent a goal was 1 or 2 at least.
Yes, absolutely.
It was all set up because I want to get into the goal, which is this final run stretch of the season and get into the playoffs. Where's your mind on that?
I think obviously my goal, I think the team's goal, our main goal, as of right now, this last stretch is just to get into the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing. I've been in this league. It's my 6th season, so I kind of know the ins and outs. So it's just all about kind of getting that over that playoff line. Once you get the playoffs, I think anybody can make it to the final. So we get to the final, playoffs. My bad. And then get to the playoffs. And then, the next main goal is to get the final. So.
We've got no problem with you mentioning the final on the show.
Right, exactly.
We're dreaming of the final.
Right. No coach speak, no, not in this safe space here.
Yeah, but, it's one of those things where there's 2 matches here coming up in the next week, and there's been so many opportunities for the club to get 3 points, to get close to that playoff line, and all of a sudden you're kind of staring DC United in the face. And you get those 3 points, you're equal on points into that playoff spot. If you just take away the big picture and think about just that 90 minutes of football, it's probably freeing to know that situation is right in front of you on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we know, obviously this is a big game, and I think just all the games coming up soon are important games. So it's either we kind of win, take all the 3 points, or I mean, even a tie. I mean, for me, I know we've tied a lot this season, but ties are more than 0 for me, and that kind of pushes us forward just a teeny bit. But we want those wins, especially. So we know all these games coming up are important.
I got to follow up there and just say, what's it like going if you hear the fan chatter last year? It was like, our team can never tie. If we could only tie, if we could just get a few more draws, we'd be good. And now this year it's all these damn draws. What is up with this?
It's not appealing. Obviously, I guess for fans, you never want to see a tie. You either want to see a win or loss. I mean, I know, I'm a victim of that. Whether it's while I'm watching soccer, or I'm watching NFL or NBA. You want to see a win, but at the end of the day, it is important. You look back, at the end of the season, you look back, you say, we did get all those draws, but those are, all positive points. That's towards our playoff push, and that's towards our, our main goal, which is, get to the playoffs and hopefully get to the MLS Cup final.
Speaking of, your career, what you would prefer, and think about results that matter, right? It's so easy to get caught up in the points. Hey, we'll take 3 points. Yeah. We'll take 1 point. You're looking at the standings. Let's go back to growing up here in Charlotte and talk about the idea of the result being your career, right? When was the first time you said to yourself, I can become a professional soccer player. I want to become a professional soccer player.
So I'll split that into 2. So when I knew I wanted to, it had to be my youth years. Growing up playing classic soccer here in CSA,
Charlotte Soccer Academy.
Yeah, cool. And I think that's kind of when during that time period, because I was just you ask my mother to this day, I was always soccer. I played. The only other sport I played was basketball for about a year, and after that, I just was like, I'm sticking with soccer.
But by the way, I've seen some sick highlights on YouTube of you playing soccer on a basketball court.
Oh, that's the futsal. Yeah. That's my mother with the videos. Shout out to her for that video. But yeah, I mean, I've always my entire life I always wanted to be a professional soccer player. When I say I knew I had the ability to. I remember the exact moment was when I got called into my first youth national team camp in Carson when I was 13 or 14 years old. I remember my mother when I got the email invitation that came in that I was going to go. She was stoked. I was stoked, and when I got there, you're playing with some of the best in my age group throughout the country. So when I got there, I was I got invited. I was I could actually probably do this. I could probably. This is kind of that first step of trying to get to that professional goal. And when I knew I could hang the best of the best, I knew I was destined to hopefully become a professional soccer player.
So you go to the U.S. national team call-ups, the youth call-ups. You're on the field. You're feeling confident. You're seeing guys your age. And you're saying I can play with these guys.
Yeah.
Spin that forward to heading out to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And you start going into training sessions, and you're in that moment. How was that feeling there? Do you say to yourself, I feel good again? Or was there a bit of a learning curve at the professional?
No, yeah. So, I mean, and I'll extend that kind of youth national team camp. I kept getting invited, camp after camp after camp. And that's when I knew, I'm obviously doing something right. I either, have the talent and ability, and coaches see that in me. And so when that time period came, I got to those camps, and my main thing was, I got to those camps, I felt like, for me, those guys that were in, those MLS academies, it felt like they were, a step above me in terms of quickness, speed, of either touches or speed of play. So my main goal, I was kind of I want that kind of MLS. I kind of want that MLS environment, kind of see what it's like. If I don't like it, I can always come back home and be at CSA. Obviously I love home. So I mean, I had a couple clubs that reached out to me, but the main one was Kansas City. They came out and recruited me. Went out there. It was kind of one of those things. It was kind of you either come here or you don't. So, so then I remember my mom just kind of, we drove, 15, 16 hours at the time. I was dropped off to a random teammate's family that were able to take me in, cool. Which I'm super grateful for. Same time, it's just so weird because my mom's dropping me off with some random family that she hasn't even met before. And the next thing you know, we get there. She drops me off, sees the house, and next thing you know, it's all right, Mom, this is it. I'm not gonna. This is where I live now. I'm not gonna see you for however long. It could have been a year, it could have been 3 months, 2 months, but it turned out to be a good probably 4 or 5 years.
It was one of those just like stick, see how long you stick type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where, when you go back to your question, when I got there, I did feel like I was kind of a mainstay in the academy. So that's when I got and again, it was an extra step. I was like, okay, like I'm obviously doing something right. I have the talent. So that kind of just gave me an extra boost of confidence to know that I was going to be a professional soccer player.
And that experience, and at only 23 years old now, one of the younger guys on the squad,
yeah.
You get that experience, and you're on a squad that is a playoff squad, a squad that makes the dance.
Yeah.
So how do you take that and the experience you had there and bring it into the locker room with these guys, some of them who have never been in an MLS situation?
Yeah, so that's what I'm super grateful for, because, obviously when I got to Kansas City, especially with, the back line sake, I'm playing guys at the time like Matt Beasler, Iko Para, Graham Zusi.
Cool.
I mean, these guys, have had World Cup experience, national team experience, have been in the league for so long, have had success. So learning from those guys, throughout those 4 years when I was there, I'm super grateful for, because those were super good guys that I was able to learn from, and they were so nice to me. Took me in, and they never acted like I was just some random young kid coming in. They made it seem like I was a professional already, and they took me in. And so, when I got this move to come back here, I saw that as a positive. I said, like, I have the experience already. Like, I know I'm a young kid. I know I'm coming here. I'm 22. Same time, I have the experience already. This last year was my 5th year, first year of Charlotte FC. But I knew I had that experience already, so I was able to come in. And when games come along, like, I know certain players. I know how certain teams play. I can give that advice to certain guys. And I remember especially a recent moment when we came to Nashville, and Yeri got his first start, and like he was going up against Leao. So I kind of told him before the game. I said, look, like, these are kind of his tendencies. This is what he kind of likes to do. And that's kind of my experience I can give to somebody like Yeri that has experience overseas and stuff like that. But just in this league, I have that experience with just in the league and the players. So
totally.
I was able to give that kind of experience and kind of just share my advice.
Yeah, and MLS is a league with a lot of incomings who take a lot of time to adapt.
Exactly.
And adjust
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
So I just it's so interesting to hear you talk about that. And I wonder, like, do you have any sense of a lost childhood with having to like have been a professional for so long? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like you've been a career-oriented individual. Maybe your career is something I see as a game, but you don't get to where you're at without taking it very seriously. So, like, how has that affected you as a young person who's had to be so career-oriented, and what how do you keep having fun with it?
I mean, this is why I tell people, like, you have some fans that have children that are playing soccer, like, oh, like, what did you do? What'd you do? And a lot of people do say the hard work, which is, yes, that's the main staple. Like, anybody can work hard. Like, that's what you want to do. But it's also like, one, I had the passion for the game, so that's one. And two, since I had the passion, I made so many sacrifices with childhood. Like, especially growing up, I never went to middle school events and stuff, or like the high school little events. Like, I went to a couple high school dances here and there, but like, that was only maybe a couple. But like, throughout, if you compare me to someone else, they're going to all these little events and high school groups that I wasn't really a part of, or I didn't really have. I went to school, kind of did my school, and that was it. Like, I had a couple of friends that I'll talk to here and there, but like like you said, I was so career oriented that like I kind of went to school, did what I had to do, and I'm going to practice. And so training. And so I just think if you have a goal, I think it comes with sacrifices. And like you said, I sacrificed a lot throughout my childhood to get to where I am today, and I wouldn't change it at all.
You mentioned the fans. I think you've got a great relationship with the fans. I think the reason when Danny and I figured out it was last season at Atlanta. Danny, we were down there, field level. We were hanging after the game. It was obviously a tough game, and
there you are. Yeah,
great
podcast moment here where I show you a picture that the listeners can't see, but we had good access, and this picture that I'm showing Jaylin right now of him like shaking young fans' hands. This was legit 35, 40 minutes after the game. Like, you guys stuck around, and like it was amazing. Like, the connection y'all showed even then.
Yeah, because we were just hanging. We were just having a good time. We were happy that the club's around, and it's so early in the club's history. It's it's hard to get to know some of the guys and kind of what they're like off the field and what their involvement and is going to be like with the fans. And we saw you do that, and we were like, oh, Jaylin must be a real one. And it's been proved out over the last year and now almost through this second season. What's your relationship been like with the fans?
I mean, my relationships, so far has been really good, and kind of a confidence boost for me. Was the tifo at the recent game. And,
no big deal.
First ever player to get their own tifo.
That was kind of cool because that really kind of because sometimes when you're playing games, like sometimes you don't know how the fans somewhat view you. Like obviously you're not on social media that much, like you don't really know, and so. Obviously when the tifo came up, it was kind of like, okay, like these fans are behind me, like they're going to support me, like no matter what, whether, through hard times, through good times, like they're always going to be there. And so that kind of solidified it. And, for me, like when I first got to this club, my main goal was to have that relationship with the fans because, I would say I'm considered that hometown kid that's, from around the area, that's kind of grown up, know what it's like to play at, Charlotte Soccer Academy and kind of have that main goal to be that hometown kid that playing the professional team in the hometown. And so, when I came back here, my main goal was, I want to give back to these guys. Because I know there's some fans that, were following me because I'm from here and now I'm coming back here. So they saw it as an awesome story. So, when I go out on that field, I just want to give, everything to these fans. Because, especially now after the first game, we had, was it like 70,000 after last year, the Galaxy game. It's just like, it's unreal to know that, like, we have all those people behind us, and so I just want to go out there and just give it my all for them.
Yeah. Sadly, I noticed the other day, Efren Alvarez he's not even in the league anymore.
Yeah.
You can hate that guy. But yeah, the fans connect to you. We always like to say, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. That's one of our favorites. Yeah. We sing a lot on the show. That's one of the favorites. I want to ask you a little bit about the new competition that's coming to the team. There's more competition now in the back line with Yere coming in. We talked to Scott Arfield a couple weeks ago, and he is in that same spot, sort of in the areas where he played, where a lot of guys are fighting for the spots. How does competition make everybody better? What's your approach there?
Yeah, I think always, bringing in competition just grows the team even better and improves. You do have some guys that, when they're not playing, it's kind of upsetting, but at the same time, like you're wanting to go out there and make each other better at the end of the day because the more and more you go out there, we're kind of trying to fight for each other's spots. The more that, like, for example, like, let's just say like me and Nathan, in a sense, like, we both play right back. In the sense, I know he's going to be a step ahead, so like it's like figuring out like what can I do to kind of either be even with that or even step above. So like then it just keeps cycling over and over and over again.
Right, you're each pulling ahead of each other.
Yeah, we're each trying to just pull something out of each other to kind of make each other better.
At the end of the day, you're both farther than you would have been.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it's when you look back at the end of the season, it's how we were from beginning of the season to the end of the season, and it's just a total improvement of just each other. In a sense of whether if he's playing or if I'm playing, like it doesn't matter. But we're always just improving no matter what, and we're at the same time like it's healthy competition in that sense. Like me, like everyone, I think everyone on the team has that sense of a good relationship with each other, and we're not sitting here like, oh, like you're playing like f that, sorry to get language on the show, but like that's the reality of it in the locker room.
You won't offend us.
Scotty dropped an F-bomb.
No, but that's the reality of it. But like we're all supporting each other in that locker room, and that's the best thing you can get out of a group of guys is we're sitting there supporting each other, but we also have that competition. Like we're gonna go out there and give it our all.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if it matters, I think the fans see it that same way. From the outside looking in, I think that reflects in the way you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And once that tifo went up, it was like that. Danny and I knew, like, we were like, Jaylin's a real one way in the beginning, but like that tifo goes up, and it's like now this entire fan base knows that Jaylin's that guy on the back. I got one question about the back line, just because you're talking about it, and it's I know in your youth career, people were talking about. You at a center back position, you end up getting pushed out to that right side, which is great. I think that suits your skill set really well. What's it like playing next to Adilson Malanda? That's what I want to know. Like, what's it like? How's the communication? He's a baller.
Yeah.
It must make
really
you feel good to know that he's right there next.
No, he's really good to play next to. Like you couldn't, like, I remember last year when he first came. it's almost like you can't even tell that he's I think he's 21, and you can't even tell he's 21. You feel like he's like way older than that, and he's already been in the league for so long. And the communication is great. I mean, like me and him, we play next to each other. Like, we're both younger guys on that side, but like I feel like both of us have that level of experience that like we kind of bounce off each other really well. And like I know that like ball goes in behind, like he's gonna cover me, and vice versa. If ball goes over him, I'm gonna cover him. Like we have that great relationship with each other, which is really nice. And he's just like you said, he's just a baller. He's a really good player, and I think he's going to do big things one day.
And there was a game, he came off injured in that LAFC match, but it was a huge match for the squad. I wanted to mention that game specifically just because you had such a great game.
Yeah.
It was a really nice win for the squad, picking up 3 crucial points. But what I want to know personally is during that 90-minute stretch, like when you're in that moment and you are cooking and you're playing well, like, are you aware of that? Like, where's your mind in that moment? Like, I'm having a good game.
I mean, yeah, like, you can tell, like, in the game, like when you're connecting passes, you're making plays happen. Like, you can kind of tell in your brain, like, okay, like I'm cooking right now. Like, let's keep it going. But that's the thing. Like, you can say to yourself, like, you're doing well. But the thing is, like, it's 90 minutes. Like, you're gonna have to keep going. And like, and so like you can tell in the game like you're doing well, and it's just like about how can I keep improving, keep making plays happen, because the more and more you do that, the more the opponent gets frustrated. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so it's just about just kind of keeping that roll going.
Yeah, you had notably great play in that game. Like, always loved watching you play, and knowing that LAFC was coming into our house was in a very extremely important match for the club's aspirations, and knowing that Vela, Buanga, the new guy, Mateusz Bogic or whatever. Yeah. These are like dangerous guys. And yes, they did end up scoring, but we just controlled that match the whole game. And what's it like to know the scouting report, to know you got dangerous guys coming in, and then to just know at the end of the day you put them in your pocket and took care of business?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you have to think about what obviously those guys, you can say they're big names in the league, and they're quality players for sure. At the end of the day, we also have quality as well, so it's also about believing in our ability and not, worrying so much about like, oh, Vela, Buanga, Bogusz, like they're all coming in, and like it doesn't matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, like we have our team, we have a lot of guys that have lots of qualities that bounce off each other. So it's just about when we get that report, like the scouting report, you're going through that. It's about how can the team kind of manage these guys well enough to the fact that we can have that success, and I feel like we did really, really well, and that's for me by far, kind of our best performance, throughout the whole season so far.
Yeah, it was an amazing night.
Yeah. Well, you say you don't get around too much on social media. That's good. I like you focus on what's important. But you may or may not be aware of a burgeoning movement that is out there. There's stickers that exist, and a lot of the supporters pass these memes around all over the place. Play Jaylin Lindsey every damn game. I don't know if you're aware. But
yeah, I'm aware.
I know it's all healthy competition. You love your guys, and the squad is strong. But does it make you feel good? You talk about the tifo giving you a confidence. How about the meme?
No, I've heard about that, and I would say I'll say it again. Like, that gives me an extra boost to know that there are people that are kind of noticing that when I'm on the field that I do a fantastic job, and that means so much to me, because like I said before, like I go out there, I want to give out to the fans, out to my teammates, the coaches, and I just want to show that like I have the quality and ability to be out there, hopefully every game, and be out there, and because I have the quality, I know myself. But to know that other people are noticing it, other fans, especially like our hometown fans, to know that they know I have the quality, it just makes it even better.
We've talked a lot of on-the-field stuff. I know we don't have a lot of time left. So I know there's a specific question about music that I want to get to, because we talk about music on the show a lot.
Okay.
And, big part of our vibe, for sure.
And there's been a lot of great concerts coming into town recently.
I missed all of them, so don't worry.
For what it's worth, I haven't been to one yet.
You didn't have Beyonce tickets?
Well, I think we were out of town. No,
you guys are in Texas.
Yeah, something else is going on.
Like I said,
a magical cup run. I don't know, one of those things. But we want to know. It's the Jaylin Lindsey Festival, right?
Yeah.
You can book.
Give us your 3 headliners, because you have really eclectic taste that you show with your playlist. I think you're a little country, a little hip hop.
Yeah, I'm a little everything.
Yeah, so it's the Jaylin Lindsey Music Festival, Summer 24, Bank of America. Who's headlining?
Oh boy,
you can think about it for a minute, but the concerts have been a big issue. They just announced another big one with George Strait and Chris Stapleton. I don't know if you can get any tickets to that. I'm sure some of our listeners will be pretty happy.
I would say my first one for sure would have to be Drake. That's just like kind of like my
lock. Yeah,
that's my lock.
There's no money.
That's my lock for sure.
This is your festival. You got a suite. You have the only suite, and everybody else.
Oh man, I'll probably, if I'm gonna add country in there, I do listen to Morgan Wallen a lot, so I'll probably put him in there.
This is power packed.
3.
Maybe introduce some people to a musical act they don't know that well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say 3. I mean, he's a rapper. He's called Rod Wave. Okay. I listen to him a lot. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. Like, I wore his sweatshirt. I went to his concert when they had it this past off season. I love his music and I listen to it all the time.
I didn't even get the context of this meme, but I saw a post you made that said, "I've been listening to Rod Wave so much I dreamed about Kareem."
So in the song, he's like, "I had a dream about Kareem." So it's like it's just like the whole meme was just so funny. So
yeah, one of the cool things you do when you do engage with social media, you have. I looked at your IG. You kind of like just clear the photo reel at the end of every month. You just give us this little sampling of like what the previous month of your life was like, and I think fans kind of like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that reminds me of one thing. It's just like saying, I wish I did that.
Yeah.
Right? And I might take that from you and do that at the end of the month. Because, we're all working on this. Everyone wants to stay grounded. And I think that's a great way to stay grounded is at the end of the month, take a look back. Take some really nice photos that rmind you of where you've been. And then it's on to the next month.
Yeah, so I
create those new memories.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just what, like, when I got the idea, I kind of just thought of it, like, I thought it was a cool idea because then, you're not having, it kind of, when I look back at the year, I can kind of swipe through those photos and be like, I went through this stage of my life. This is what happened this month. So when it comes, December, I can look back at my IG and be like, that was my whole year. You know what I mean? So I think it just makes it so easy. Like you can pick your favorite photos at the end of the month and just post them and you look back on it and just say like, that was my month, and you just see how kind of like your year goes up and down and go from there. So.
Yeah, he's Jaylin Lindsey. He's here on the Charlotte Soccer Show. That's amazing. What I'm going to do for this Saturday is I'm going to create the Jaylin Lindsey pregame playlist. Those 3 artists, we're going to pick our favorite songs. We'll share it from the show. And that's when we pregame for the matches a little differently. Warming up.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But we're with you.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
We do a walk-in to the local pub though in match day fits, and we have a whole red carpet there. People taking we actually don't do that. But,
I was about to say that's impressive actually.
But I hope our Tifos, tremendous friends of the show, we call them that. I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I think it's serendipitous that he's the Tifo man, and he's here for the Tifos. It's a pleasure been having you on the show. It's been awesome watching you play soccer. We always talk about the joy in the game. We like to see, hey, who's enjoying their soccer? And it always feels like you're enjoying the game. I've enjoyed this interview. I know you have as well, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Jaylin Lindsey is officially for the crown, baby.
Of course, always.